It all started on a Tuesday when Detective Raymond Ortega walked into MIT's Building 20 and found a lab half empty and a logbook open to a single ink-stained page. The year was 1994. The city was Cambridge, Massachusetts. In the margins, someone had scrawled MNE7, taken. What followed read like a historical thriller, a theft, a killing, and a machine that turned memory into contraband. Dr. Miriam Klein, a cognitive engineer whose name would later appear across 3 congressional hearings and 2 Boston Globe editorials, had been heading a DARPA-funded program at MIT to map transient electromagnetic traces left by neural activity. The prototype, dubbed the Nemasani engine, was meant to be a diagnostic scanner, nothing more than a way to replay, in rough form, a subject's most recent sensory impressions to aid coma patients in trauma therapy. It was never supposed to work the way it would once it fell into criminal hands. Within a week of the theft, on April 12, 1994, the first crime tied to the device surfaced. A witness in a high-profile arson case on Newbury Street disappeared from testimony records, not missing, but empty. Surveillance tape showed him leaving the courthouse, then walking again into the same building where he had been deposed. Afterward, his answers changed, as if someone had rewound portions of his memory. The prosecutor's notes contained gaps that matched neurological signatures the Nemasani team had been cataloging. Detective Ortega, a 20-year veteran with the Cambridge Police Department, and FBI agent Linda Chen led a joint task force codenamed Archive. They traced a breadcrumb trail through Kendall Square startups, cash withdrawals tracked to a payphone by the Charles River, and a shipment manifest from a small logistics firm in Chelsea. Interviews with underworld figures produced a new vocabulary: memory runner, Nemo seller. Rumors spoke of a buyer in Mexico City and a laboratory in a converted textile mill outside Lowell. By the time the Boston Globe ran the headline "Stolen Memories," the case had metastasized. A woman in Dorchester woke with her husband's face erased from her mind. An executive in Back Bay paid millions to purchase a single afternoon from a rival's recollection. The device, the Globe reported, could extract the raw electromagnetic trace of an experience and render it as data, sellable, editable, and, in the wrong hands, weaponizable. What made the crime historical was not merely the theft, but how ordinary evidentiary rules collapsed. Witnesses could be edited, suspects could be exculpated by purchased memories. The courtroom became a new frontier. Or rather, as defense attorneys argued in Motion After Motion, it was now a place where memory itself had market value. The break came when archivist notes from Dr. Klein's lab were found in a second-hand shop in Somerville. A clerk remembered a customer, tall with a British accent, asking about electromagnetic shielding. Surveillance traced him to a shipping crate bound for Brighton, England. The crate never left the port. Instead, it changed hands twice and turned up at a disused warehouse in Chelsea, where the task force found the Nemasani engine, disassembled and half-burned, and 2 bodies. One of them, Victor Halberd, a venture capitalist with holdings across Cambridge and London, and the other, a technician who had once worked for Dr. Klein. Halberd's papers revealed a darker commerce: contracts, ledgers, recorded sales of episodes to clients in advertising, politics, and private security. He had been running a black market that trafficked in memory forgeries, replacing incriminating minutes with purchased alibis. His death, the medical examiner concluded, was a murder staged to look like suicide. Halberd had feared exposure. In the aftermath, hearings convened in Washington. Congress debated amendments to evidence law. Neuroscientists published guidelines for cognitive dignity, and MIT closed the Nemasani project. Detective Ortega, Dr. Klein, and Agent Chen testified for hours. Journalists followed every transcript. The Cambridge case left a ledger of changes, chain of custody rules extended to cognitive data, new warrants for memory access, and the first criminal statutes explicitly prohibiting the commercial sale of extracted human memory. Archivists in the MIT Museum now keep a sealed box labeled MNE7, recovered parts, with a typed provenance. When asked years later what had felt most unlawful, Agent Chen said, "It wasn't the parts, it was the trade in someone's yesterday." The Nemisani case entered legal textbooks and ethics seminars as a cautionary historical incident, a crime that began as a theft of a prototype and ended up rewriting how a modern democracy protects not just property, but the very past in people's heads.